Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Law have been satisfied concerning this meeting, which is a special meeting on July 31st, 2018 at 4 p.m. for the introduction of the fiscal year 2019 municipal budget. It was also posted on the bulletin board and advertised in both newspapers. It is so noted in the minutes of the meeting. The roll call. Councilman Anderson. Councilman Ficarra. Councilwoman Drum.
Here.
Councilman De Jesus.
Here.
Councilman Small.
Here.
Councilman Patel.
Here.
Councilman Bauer. Vice President Spiller.
Here.
And President Meehan.
Here.
At this time, could I get a motion to open the public portion of this meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public portion of this meeting is now open. Are there any comments from the public? Hearing no comment from the public, can I get a motion that the public portion of this meeting be closed?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Council, in front of you, you have ordinance letter A and resolution number 1. Ordinance A is an ordinance with regards to exceeding the municipal budget appropriations limits to establish the cap bank. Can I get a motion that this ordinance, again labeled as letter A, be passed on first reading, published in the Home News Tribune on Friday, August 3rd, 2018, with a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, August 21st at 7 p.m.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. You also have resolution number 1, which is the introduction of the fiscal year 2019 budget. If I get a motion to approve resolution number 1.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Senator Bennett, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam President. First, on overall, and because to avoid having repetition on certain questions, this is the first budget which has been put together while I've been the VA. And so there's a little bit of some differences. I actually have taken some numbers from some accounts, such as professional services, and if they were not professional, I moved them into other services. You'll see that as a theme throughout. You'll also see that some line items go up substantially, but at the same time there's a corresponding reduction in most of them for another line item. That also has been an adjustment of trying to put, everybody has a little different spin on something, and I tried to get the line items to be accountable for what they actually were spending. A little more and a little differently than what Bob had done. Not that he was wrong and I'm right, it's just a difference approach to it. So you'll see that some of the other line items I have, besides the professional services, have also been adjusted up and down. Resulting in the bottom line, though, is not really a big change. There's also been a differential in that in the administrator's budget, which we'll get to, some of the items that had been in other miscellaneous departments, and if they hadn't spent that money, I made sure that we put more into the administration to pay for certain expenses that come up before there is a authorization, so that a survey or an appraisal or something like that is now, we have the money in the administration line item to be able to pay for that. And I'll go over that with the questions when you get to them. But you'll find that there are some changes, and I just wanted to alert you to that. There is a method to the madness, I hope. And we'll know at the end of the year if it works, but I just wanted to have a clearer accountability of the line items so that you would know at the end of the year where the money had gone. That's the purpose. So with that being said, we'll start with the assessment, and Rich Duda is here to answer any questions you might have on that.
Good afternoon, Council.
Council, does anybody have a question on the taxes? Page
29 to 31.
Thank you. Sorry.
My pages are pulled out.
Just so that you understand what I'm talking about, you'll see under the professional services a deduction, and then you'll see an increase in the other outside services somewhat overall. And I just made them to be more accountable. But that's one where you see the it's a smaller one, but you'll see that repeated all the way through.
There's no questions, Council?
All right, thank you, council. Have a nice night.
You too, thank you.
You're welcome to stay, Rich, if you want to stay for the whole thing. Rich Lorenzen is our tax collector and also does the sewer collections and administration, so he'll be covering both of those items.
Sure. And the tax collector salary and wages are page 10 and other expenses 28 to 29. Mr. Lorenzen.
Good afternoon, council.
Good afternoon. Council, does anybody have questions on page 28 to 29?
No, Council.
No.
Richard will also be taking sewer collection administration.
Correct.
8510 under sewer, which is salary and wages, pages 34, and other expenses 134 to 138.
Council, does anybody have any questions on those pages?
If no questions, we'll go to purchasing and general services, Mary Ann Horta, 1225. Salary and wage, page 5. Other expenses, pages 13 through 15.
Good evening, council members. Good evening.
Council President.
Go ahead.
On page 13, that's purchasing? 1225,
Yep, 13 through 15.
So the cost center number is 901-120-1210. The end is 5295 on page 13. There's a $200,000 increase for
That's
miscellaneous
mine, that's not
expenses.
hers.
Oh, that's yours?
mine.
Oh, okay.
But good catch. But hers starts at the bottom of that page and goes
Okay.
on to the next page.
Okay. So the $200,000 increase is what you
Yes, and that's
explaining to
that's
us.
for surveys, appraisals, engineering assessments, things that happen early on in the program before the ordinances have been done, so that, and rather than have it in little bits and pieces all over the budget, having it in one location.
Okay, thank you.
That's what that's for.
Council President.
Councilman.
Page 13, whoever it might be. Just, what is the rent for 524?
There's several different rents that I pay. St. Cecilia's is the largest one. That's about 400, that's budgeted for $450,000 for the year.
And then you have the Illinois Street parking, which is roughly 24 to 27,000.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions on purchasing? Before, Mary Ann Horta will also stay here for personnel, which is 1240. Salary and wage, page 8, budget OE 21 through 23.
Council, any questions on those pages?
Division of Accounts and Control, 1310.
Thank you, have a great night.
Thank you.
Salary and wage, page 9, OE 24 through 27.
Council President, if I may. If I'm in the right spot, page 25, under seasonal salaries, there's a big bump.
Yeah.
So just wondering about that.
Sure, we took 2 interns in this summer to help us out with something that's going on in the electric utility with additional admin LRs and some other work. So we have 2 interns helping us this summer, so that's why we increased it.
Okay, thank you.
Usually we take only 1, Councilwoman. We have
Okay.
1, we have 2 this year.
Okay. Thank you.
Council, any other questions?
Information Systems, Michael Asaldo, 8520, under Sewer, salary and wage, page 65.
All my things are...
Good afternoon, council members.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Is there an OE page?
Yeah,
applicable?
139.
139.
Just one. Council, is there any questions?
Hold on 1 second, Deb. I didn't get there yet. I'm slow today. 139.
I have a question. On page 139, the first item, under management info system sewer, we went from appropriating 2,000 and it had a bump. Can you tell me why there's a bump? It's like a $10,000 bump. It ends in 3515, the first line on page 139.
Right, so those are our seasonal interns that we have, and the information technology arena is pretty big, either from Berkeley or from colleges, so we have a lot of requests, and the mayor is very helpful in helping. Some we hire, some go on to get better jobs, so it's a very good program we've been doing for many years.
Thank you.
Also on that, just so you'll notice that the second line, as you know, is actually what had been spent. So even though the number had been staying at 2,000, in reality, we've been spending 3, 3, 3, 9, and 14. So we actually are bringing it down from what it was the previous year as far as spending. Again, back to the theory of trying to make the line items accurate for what the real expenses are to avoid the transfers in the future. So that it's actually a decrease on what was expended last year.
Council, any other questions?
Will we go into the Director of Planning and Development?
Thank you very much.
Bartolowski,
Thank you.
2010, starting with her office. Other expenses, page 61 through 63, salary and wage, page 26.
Council, any questions?
She'll also be handling in the right in sequence, Planning Board, Zoning Board, Housing and Construction Code, and they'll follow, again, salary and wages, so you'll be from 26 to 30, and then OE starting at 61 to 70. All those pages she'll take.
I will tell you that when we had our budget meeting with Marta, every penny that I proposed cutting was like I was sticking her with a knife. She was very protective of her budget and had very good backup to justify all of her expenses. She probably more than most took any cuts very personal, and she said, "We'll see," when I told her that we were going to do our best with this. And only after I assured her that we would make it work did she finally acquiesce without putting a knife in my heart.
That's right. I have a question. On page 68 for salary seasonals, we've added a line item for that. Is that additional workers that we put in that this year?
Ms. Rose, I just sent you an email probably.
Oh, okay.
Like in the last 15
Okay.
minutes. That's supposed to be for salaries regular, the line item right above it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Are there any other questions then for Marta Levsky? Marta Darden, sorry.
That's okay, I answered both.
Yes, we do. We'll go over to the Police Department, Director Robert Hubner.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And Patrick Kenny also, starting with Police 2210, OE pages 70 through 78 and 81 through 85, salary and wage page 31 through 34.
Questions, Rich?
Go ahead, Councilman Small.
Thank you. Director, on page 70, ending in the last four numbers, 3510, the increase to 111 from 80.
The salaries are contractual, obviously, so there's an increase there, and we plan on adding 10 additional officers this year, or an additional 10 officers that we budgeted for last year.
Very good, thank you.
Council. Debbie Check sitting next to me. Director, page number 74, technology upgrades, 4310, 50,000 for the first time.
That's actually a new line. What we've done, we've created a digital investigative unit, cell phones and computers. We have 2 officers who were trained by the Secret Service, free of charge. We were supplied with tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment to use free of charge, and we are the only municipal police department in the county that has this type of investigative unit, so that money's there to supplement them, because obviously technology changes every day. So that would
So
be
we
an
have 2 of
upgrade.
our own police officers trained to do
Yes.
that. Excellent.
That's great to hear.
That is excellent.
And Director Hubner will also be taking the impound yard 2215, salary and wage pages 35, and other expenses 78 to 81.
Council President? Director Hubner?
Yes.
Page 77, not a big deal, just curious. Your education went from spending $15,000 last year up to requesting $45,000. It might have to do with the new technology and stuff. I don't know.
You're talking about
Education initial.
the initial education?
Yes.
That's because the police academy
Okay.
and the additional officers.
Okay, thank you.
Council, any other questions?
No other questions? We will go to Public Works, Director Henry. Starting with Public Buildings and Grounds, 1670. We'll be with Mr. Brian Burke. Other expenses, pages 56 through 58, salary and wage, page 23.
Council, any questions?
Division of Engineering, 1620, Michael Gellan.
Well,
We have on the list to start with buildings and grounds, 1670.
We just did.
We didn't have any.
Bye, Brian.
Thank you all.
Good job.
OE pages 36 through 40 and salary and wage page 17.
Council President?
Yeah, go ahead.
On page 39, this is probably something the Senator was referring to. Other outside services, it was 365, it's up to 450.
This is, we had changed this back years ago. We would use this, it's a revision, basically, a budget revision. We used our emergency account in road department 8530 to do all our TV and route TV and minor repairs. So what we've done is last year we've moved that into engineering, who contracts it, and we're also including the storm outfalls this year, and that's why you see an increase.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Council?
Office of the Director, 1610. OE pages 34 to 36, salary and wage page 16.
Council, any questions?
Division of Road Repairs and Maintenance, 1631. OE pages 40 through 44, salary and wage page 18. Carmen Barbato.
Council President? Page 42, under traffic control equipment. Just curious why there's nothing requested in the budget, as there has been in years past, and actual money spent there.
Councilman, do you have a budget number on that?
4370,
4370.
page 42. The second from the bottom, Dan.
So I believe what we did was, going forward, we're going to use the emergency budget that we talked about before with engineering for all our emergencies. We're also going to use that for our purchasing of guardrails. We're going to start doing guardrails in-house now.
Okay.
And our traffic control equipment's going to come out of the same budget.
Okay, thank you.
And you'll notice the next one did go up too. The next line item underneath that
Other
one went up
equipment? Yeah.
So we tried to move the real dollars. Another ongoing point that I think is a real positive that council can feel really good about is that we're increasing almost across the board everywhere some monies for the education, the continuing education within the departments, so that people are encouraged to go to take the classes to be able to bring back the knowledge to help in the town. So if they're related directly to the employment, you'll see that throughout the entire
Good.
budget. And we encourage that.
That's great.
Council, any other questions?
We'll go into snow removal and calamities, 1632. Other expenses, page 44 through 46, salary and wage, page 19.
Hopefully this year we won't be needing as much salt and sand.
From your lips to God's ears.
Council, Council, any questions?
We'll go into street sweeping, 1633. Other expenses, pages 46 through 47. Salary and wage, page 20.
Council, any questions?
Equipment repair, 1640. Other expenses, pages 48 through 51. Salary and wage, page 21. Mr. Rudy.
Mr. Mitch, wait 1 second.
You want to take something?
Carmen is in charge of the 8530, it's page 67 to 68. Could we jump ahead while he's up here, or do you want to go in order? Up to the council.
Just repeat those numbers again.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's 144, 141 to 144.
And 67 through?
Yeah, is he going to take both maintenance and treatment?
He takes 8530, and then Ed Wagner will take 8540.
8530. So pages 141 through 144 and 66.
I have a question. On page 144, we increased from 9,000 to 15,000. Can you let me know what that's for? It's professional services.
What number is it?
Page 144, line item 9895. 4895, I'm sorry.
Professional services.
This is so, we took some of the expenses that have been in some of the other areas, because this is sewer, and we put it in here.
Right, this is basically budget, where we revised the budget to take from other areas that we felt weren't properly, the money wasn't properly in, we put it into here, and
Some of the ongoing services in the other areas were actually being paid for. They were sewer services, and they should have appropriately been under the sewer. So that's why they got moved to here. As you know, that's kind of the utility, and so we wanted to make sure that it was accurately reflected. The same was true with the professional services and allocation. That money went up because there's allocation to actual, for professional services that really belonged under the sewer utility, and they were in the regular budget. So we moved them over.
Okay, thank you. I have a question, Council, please. Councilwoman John.
Thank you. The bottom of page 142, and then the expenses are on the top of page 143, uniforms and clothing. You're asking for $65,000?
yeah, that was last year, it was all charged to 1631 road department. The uniforms weren't broken out to the guys in the sewers, were charged to the road guys. So this year we found the issue, and we're properly charging the guys that are actually in the sewer department the clothing into that. As you see, we budgeted, but we didn't spend it, and we overexpended in 1631 because all the uniforms were purchased out of that department.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't notice that. Okay.
Councilwoman Cases.
It was the same question, thank you.
Okay. Council, any other questions? Councilman?
So moving down to other materials below vehicles, tires, and tubes. I don't know what other materials consist of, but we budgeted $25,000, overspent by $22,000, and we're only requesting $30,000.
We've done a lot with the stormwater repairs, brick, block cement pipes. We have a new supervisor that's working there now that we're a lot more aggressive with our storm sewer repairs. We've probably tripled the amount of work we're doing there. But we're getting caught up, and we're going to be mostly working with engineering on the outfall repairs at this point.
So you feel it'll stabilize very soon? Because we've progressively gone up, which holds true to what your statement is, but if we're catching up, then we're not going to ask for as much. Is that?
Yeah, we think we have enough material, and with working on the outfalls now, we think that that's going to cut back a little bit on some of our inlets.
Okay, thank you.
Council, any other questions?
Any other items for Mr. Barbado? That's it? Okay. Now we'll go to Mr. Rudy, Equipment Repair, 1640, pages 98 through 102 for other expenses, page 48 for salary and wage. 21 for, salary and wage.
Page 48 to 51.
48 to 51.
48 to 51.
Yeah.
What was the cost? It's in 1640?
1640, 48 through 51, and 21.
Page 51. Just curious, 1, 2, 3, 4, line down, 5165.
5165?
Just curious what that is. Rent other than office.
That's for the propane, the acetylene, oxygen, propane for the forklifts.
Thank you.
Council President,
Go ahead, Councilman Smith.
on 49, 4235, vehicle replacement parts. It looks like we went over 35 last year. We're back to the budgeted number we were the year before.
Yeah, I think I talked to Joe, and I think we replaced some of our garbage trucks this year, brought in some newer equipment that's under warranty. We're hoping to be able to stay within the budget of 190. They're good replacements.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions?
Small question, a small number here, figure, meal allowance. We budgeted for 5 consecutive years, $100. And we've outspent that for several years. It looks like you guys are requesting a fair amount based on what you've been spending, but can you explain like what the meal allowance is for?
Yeah, whenever the employees work over 12 hours, they contractually they get a meal ticket. Most of the time in the years past, it only really happened mostly during snowstorms. We have more different types of calamities, and so we can't always charge it to our calamity budget. It could be, sanitation problem where they have to work. Equipment repair has to be in to support them when they come in on overtime for emergencies. So that's where they'll charge into their account. But during snowstorms, it usually goes right to the calamities account. So that one fluctuates on us all the time.
Okay. I'm all for taking care of the guys. I just wanted to make sure that the public knows that we're not going out having a good meal out there on our own. But
Council, any other questions?
Parks Maintenance, 3310. Other expenses, pages 98 through 102. Salary and wage, page 48. Mr. George Brew.
Council President. On page 54, first one, sanitary landfill, 5005. I'm going to assume that's probably the landfill bumping.
40.
oh yeah, we're in page 98.
3310.
3310.
98 through
So
1.
that's page 99, 98, 99.
Council President. Let's see, page 101. Could you just give us a little bit of explanation on the second line, 4515, maintenance contracts?
I'd recommended a deduction in this one because there were repairs and not necessarily maintenance contracts. So it was again revamping. If there was a contract and it was for maintenance of an item, that they were belonged in maintenance contracts. If it was for repairs or something other than a maintenance contract, it belonged somewhere else in the budget. And that's one that most of those expenses were not maintenance contracts.
Okay, thank you.
Council, any other questions?
There's sanitation, 1660. Other expenses, pages 51 through 55. Salary range, page 22. John Mazza.
I have a question. On page 54, I think you might have just said this is for sanitation, sanitary landfill. The second item, 5005, there was quite an increase in that. You know, there's different things going on right now.
Yes, unfortunately, what's happened here is that the recycling is gone. We were not paying for anything for recycling, and then it went to $5 a ton. And unfortunately, we were then notified because of the inability to find markets for the recycling, specifically and what was going on over in China, that our rate right now is being held at $35 a ton for 3 months and projected it could go to $60 a ton. We have 1,200 tons annually. So we did the math.
12,000. 12,000 tons. 12,000 tons.
I thought 1,200 a month, I thought was what I was.
1,200 a month, yes.
Yeah, 1,200 tons a month. And so we tried to do some math. This is truthfully a guesstimate based on what the market is. We took a number in between the two. We are exploring the possibilities of alternative options, but right now we had to, we added I think $800,000, or is that right? About $800,000,
yes,
right at the last minute because of this problem that's having with the markets. And we clearly are not prepared to recommend going back to dual stream. We're at single stream, and so we're trying to come up with an alternative. But right now, that number is skyrocketing.
Okay, thank you. Council, any questions?
Is there anything that we can do to try to cut that number down, or not as far as the amount of tons of recyclables that we collect?
The director has in fact gone and he's getting audits of our waste. That's the first step of our recycling waste. He's had 2 companies to prepare audits for them and then to solicit as to whether or not we can get a better price. And we've also taken some out of that stream because it's actually less expensive. This is almost ludicrous to say, but it's less expensive to take some of the waste to the landfill and pay the money in the landfill than it is to put it through the recycling, depending on if it's, what do you call it, dirty?
Dirty garbage.
Dirty.
We're actually, years ago, because there was such a big market for it, we just expanded all the items you could recycle. And what we found now is a lot of garbage is getting put in because people think things like garden hoses are recyclable, used pizza boxes. So what we're looking to do now is go back to simple bottles and cans, cardboard, paper, and get away from all those other items that are confusing the residents, because that's what's causing all the garbage to get into the recycling stream. So we may go down some tonnage on recycling, but our product's going to be cleaner and more marketable.
So that's something good that you're saying right now on camera. pizza boxes are not recyclable?
Anything with food,
Okay.
food things that is not recyclable.
Okay.
So we're gonna make it simple so people understand it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know that.
Okay.
Plastic bags, we're gonna get rid of plastic bags. So we're gonna be a lot more aggressive with our recycling going forward.
All right.
And I think that's something we have to do with the new market.
Appreciate that.
Council, any other questions?
School custodian, 1675, OE pages 58 through 60, salary wage 24 through 25, Mr. Patton.
Question, Council. Go ahead, Councilman John.
Page 59. Item 4195, other supplies, substantially up to 50,000. I don't know if that's because of School 29, or I'm not sure what's going on there, but it just seems so much higher.
This is what we do with for the field maintenance, the yard maintenance supplies. There was a mistake that was charged. Some of this should have been charged. It was charged to 4515 maintenance contracts, and the senator came in and realized that that should not be in maintenance contracts.
So you put it there?
We moved that money over there.
Okay, thank you.
Council President?
In fact, almost all of it. So if you look at 4515, you'll see that that was an expense of $52,900 last year, and it's budgeted for zero because there is no specific maintenance contract.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so there's 50,000 of it.
Okay.
Council President?
Okay.
Page 60. Health insurance, 4715.
That was another one that we had the health coverage in 5295, and we felt that it was better budgeted in this line item as a health insurance.
Okay, thank you.
Council, any other questions?
Under sewer treatment, 8540, under the sewer budget, OE pages 144 through 149, salary wage 67 through 68, Mr. Wagner.
Council President? Page 144, line item 4895, professional services other. Went from a little under 10 to 50,000. That might have been moved as well from another line item.
Yeah, I believe this is another budget revised where we added under more of like contracts.
Okay. Thank you.
Council President. Other repairs, line 4595. We significantly underspent last year what we appropriated, and now we're asking for a significant jump in that number.
Yeah. Well, we want to go from 50,000 to 58,000, but last year we had gotten hit with an emergency pump repairs on Parkside, I think it was. Yeah. And we ended up inspecting our cone valves in some of our other facilities, and they needed to be replaced. We don't see that we're going to have to do that this year, plus we've replaced some of the pumps and generators, so we feel that other repairs we should be able to hold it at 58.
Are we looking at the right line 4595?
4595, what number are you looking
That's 566, 667.
Yeah.
That's what's written here.
at? I don't have that number in mind.
That's a big one.
Well, it's money that we...
No,
because we went back, it used to be 500, and then it went, I know what this is, this was...
Oh, you're looking at 8530 is the road department sewer. That's for our emergencies. That's 8530. We're in 8540 now, right? Am I correct?
No, we're in 8530.
8530 was done by Carmen Barbado. They're both called sewer. They do different types of repairs. These guys run the treatment plants. Carmen does the sewer, sanitary sewers on the road.
Back up there, Carmen.
I can tell you what that is. That is for all our emergency repairs, and also to include, like I said before, our guardrail work. We're going to start doing our own guardrail work.
Okay.
So that's what that line item is.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Ed would surely like to put another digit on this number.
Thanks, Carmen.
Council, any other
But
questions?
we did overexpend on this, and that's why we did. It cost us so much last year, but we think we're going to be able to make it work in 58.
Okay.
Any other questions? We'll go over to the library. Monica Eppinger, Catherine Brown, and Andrew Burnett.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
There's a tab in your book for that, no page numbers. Ready to go.
I have a question. I think it's page 4, but my number is punched out, so. System-wide electronic resources. Can you tell me what that number's for?
Empty the lines for the main library resources towards Inman and Island into one. So those 4 lines are now 0. We zeroed it out and added it together for the system-wide electronic resources. All the things we purchased with that money is accessible 24/7 to all the libraries. So that's a portion of the regular book budget. So that's part of the book budget.
Thank you. Library. I have one other question, and I'm sorry the number again is punched out. It's on membership. It's towards the end. There was quite a increase. I mean, there was a lot last year, and we didn't use that, and we again increased it. Can you tell me why there was an increase in membership? Yeah, I don't have, I'm sorry, I don't have the number. I got it. 19.
We broke out a fee for membership in the CLC, which provides us with records. It's a staff database, not for the public, so it doesn't belong in the other contracted services if that's where we had our resources. So we broke it out, but we still charge, this year, we charged everything to other contracted services. So we need to charge it to the right line next year. So I'd like to leave that in place because that's something we're tracking.
What does it actually mean, Director? What does that mean, memberships? People that have library cards? What is that category?
That's a library membership in itself. The library has to pay a fee to use the records to upload to use for our materials. So I think that's why that should be a separate fee, because it's something we're watching and tracking.
Okay. Thank you.
Council, any other questions on library?
We'll go to the municipal court. I believe Mr. Fernandez is going to handle this.
Kyle had a question.
Oh, no,
Oh, I'm
sorry.
sorry.
It was just, I just wanted to make sure you got the fine that I sent in on that plan. It was like about $350, but, you know.
Haven't gotten any other letters.
It was a good read, though. Thank you.
Just note on this one that the last 3 years, Monica, this library has gone down, the budget, and the services have been superlative, so that's how it should work.
Nice job.
Good job.
She's done a great job since she came on board, in my opinion. Kudos to you.
Don't go too much, or she'll be looking for a raise.
No. Well, maybe she deserves it.
Got a lot of good people working.
It's been a really good show, I just want to
she's
point
been
that out.
We'll go to the municipal court. Mr. Fernandez will be taking this budget, correct?
Yes, he is.
Pages 119 through 121 for other expenses, and page 50 for salary and wage.
Council, any questions?
Nope.
Okay, we'll move on to the Department of Health. Mr. Green will take the next series of budgets, starting with Health Administration 3010, OE 85 through 88, salary and wage page 36.
Ready for my close-up.
Council, any questions? Any questions?
Okay, we'll move on to Animal Control 3020 and 3020A, pages 91 through 94, and 37 on S&W.
Council, any questions?
Have we added a personnel for salaries?
No, that small increase reflects negotiated increase in their salaries.
Okay, thank you.
Council, any other questions?
Moving on to Municipal Alliance 3025, pages 95 through 96.
I don't have a question, I just want to make a comment. I see that we put in a lot of money for Municipal Alliance for the programs, and I know a lot of that is for drug prevention. And I just want to say that I'm really happy to see that in there. Thank you.
I have a question regarding salaries cash match. What does that represent? And we had we appropriated quite a bit of money for it, but didn't spend much.
Right, so that was last year's budget. This year's budget's going to be different. We actually had a grant last year. This year, we're not participating in the grant, so we don't have a salary allocated for an employee, because what we're doing is we've discontinued the grant, so we don't have that person operating as a Municipal Alliance coordinator. And what we did was we took all the programs. We're still doing all the programs. We allocated money for all those programs that we would have paid into salaries for the programs.
They're going to be divided between several of my staff members, so the programs will continue. But the cash match, that last grant from last year required us to do a cash match, which was 25% approximately of the salary for that person. So we no longer have that for this year.
Thank you.
That's why I explained it.
Council, any other questions?
Environmental, 3030, pages 96 through 98, and 39 S&W.
Council, any questions?
Nursing, 3040, pages 88 through 91, S&W, page 40.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
On page 89, under drugs and pharmaceuticals, and then first aid supplies. For first aid supplies, last year it was 13,000 appropriated, and then used 10,000. You're only requesting 6,500, and then there was no request prior to this year for drugs and pharmaceuticals. Can you just give us a small explanation?
Sure. So there's kind of two things going on there. We decided that first aid supplies didn't accurately reflect pharmaceuticals and drug purchases, so that's why we funded drugs and pharmaceuticals for the flu vaccine primarily, but we also buy other vaccines and other drugs for some of our clinics. And also this year we're going to fund some of the Narcan for our opioid overdose recovery program for the PD, so we funded that through also drugs and pharmaceuticals. So that's why you see one reduced a little bit and the other one a new funding item.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions?
Office of Aging, 3061, pages 105 through 107, and 41 on S&W.
Council, any questions?
Senior Citizen Center, 3062, pages 107 through 108, and 42 on S&W.
Council, any questions? Go ahead, comment.
Just, you're anticipating a significant drop in overtime. Last year, we appropriated 127. We spent 118, but we're requesting 83,675 this year.
Right, so, Citizen Center. Oh, okay, so what we did in that budget, we actually changed some of the staffing salaries. Part of the coordinator, or I shouldn't say coordinator, the manager for youth and senior programs, part of her salary was taken out of that budget. This year, we're not doing it that way. It's taken out of another budget fully. So that's why you see a reduction from 127 down to a total of 83,675.
So there was a salary that was budgeted in the overtime?
No, it wasn't overtime. Am I looking at something different?
It was in the salaries regular. You see it up in 3510. We spent 118,000 last year, and this year we're budgeting 69,675.
Okay.
Because the balance of the salary got moved. That's the big difference right there. Right? I did it. I'm on 107.
Page 107, correct? Are we on page 107?
I'm on page 107.
Right. That's my answer.
All right. My question was in the overtime.
My overtime shows 0.
Mine is 0.
You mean seasonal?
You mean the seasonal 14,000? Is that the one you mean?
Below that, where it says control total?
That's the 83,000 total. That's not overtime. The controls, the numbers for the two numbers up above it.
It's
that's
regular and seasonal.
Gotcha.
It's regular and seasonal added together. That's what the control is.
14,000 in seasonals, that would actually be our instructors. We pay instructors to do like the exercise classes and the various classes. That's the $14,000.
Gotcha.
That would be seasonal.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Council, any other questions?
Senior Transportation, 3063, pages 108 through 110, S&W 43.
Council President. Page 109, halfway down, 4995, other outside services. So probably this is a line item thing, such as before, went from 311 to 15,000.
Right, so that 311 paid for Middlesex County Area Transport. So I was MCAT. So last year, we used Middlesex County Area Transport for our senior citizen bus, and this year we transitioned to our own. We're very happy about how it's working with us right now. So we actually had to make a payment last year out of this budget. This year we no longer have that. That's why it's down to 15,000.
Very nice, thank you.
Any other questions?
Evergreen Youth Center, 3064, pages 110 through 111, and S&W page 44.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Evergreen, the youth center, we're requesting money for a lot that wasn't requested last year, like every line item. So is that because you guys are running different programs, or is that because it was charged to something else last year and now it has its own line items?
No, it's actually the same amount, total same amount, but last year we only had one item, which was miscellaneous expenses. So this year we broke it up to give you guys a better idea of what we're spending the money on. So when you look at it, you can say, okay, supplies, food, we're breaking it down better. So yeah, so it's more appropriately.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions?
For Reading Senior Center, 3065, pages 111 through 112, and 45 on S&W.
Council, any questions?
Drug Addiction Services, 3066, pages 112 through 113, and 46 on S&W.
Council, any questions?
Five Branches Senior Center, 3067, pages 113 through 114, and 17 on S&W.
Council, any questions?
Mr. Green has nothing else. We'll move to Mr. Simbaluka and Mr. Mueller.
Thank you. Thank you.
Recreation, starting with Recreation 3320, 102 through 105 on other expenses, and 49 on S&W.
I have a question. On page 104, miscellaneous expenses. It went up quite a bit. Can you tell me what that's for?
I'm sorry, you said?
It's 5295 on page 104, miscellaneous expenses.
We have moved some things around. We originally had moved out of the budget, we put them into miscellaneous expenses.
If you don't mind, Deb. Page 103, the last line item, 4995, other outside services. I noticed in a lot of your departments, obviously it's recreation.
Yep.
A lot of your departments have a lot of money in other outside services. So could you just give us a little bit of a feel for what that big number
So that
represents?
particular line item would be the C. Warren Library, WTYRC, the murals, the motion pictures, Ricky Cohen, Binsky for the WAG, which is 101 Main Street, Verizon, WAA, Senior Billiards, Sam Ash, Blue Poles maintenance, or should be the some of the maintenance for the AEDs and rec uniforms for leagues.
Thank
So
you.
that's kind of a...
Sure.
Council President. On page 102, salaries regular.
So salaries regular, the reason for the increase in that, we anticipate the Avenel Arts, so those extra employees for the Avenel Arts, which we anticipate that the Avenel Arts, once that is viable and making money, that they'll repay us those monies back once they're up and running and making money.
And would they be factored into the overtime? Because that number stayed the same.
So that was for a past employee that we had. That should probably be adjusted.
Council, any other questions?
Celebration of public events, 3330, OE, page 115 and 116.
Okay, so 4995, other outside services. Is that a change in how it's being defined?
Yeah, exactly. So we move those from professional services to other outside services. You'll see that as it flows through my budget. We follow the same pattern as the other departments.
And
Go ahead.
Director, how about 5165 on page 116, rent? What is that for? Is that for the WAG?
That's for the WAG.
Okay, thank you.
Council, any other questions?
The Woodbridge Community Center, 8220, pages 156 through 183, and 52 through 63 on S&W.
So, Council President, on page 157, I think this speaks to what Senator Bennett explained earlier before our meeting. Professional services other was dropped drastically and moved over to maybe other outside services?
Correct.
Not sure.
You're absolutely correct.
Okay. So all those things that were on last year, pre-employment physicals, credit card services, off-duty police, all that is down there now in other outside services?
Correct, Councilman.
Maintenance contracts, line 4515, a significant drop there as far as what we appropriated and what was spent. Has there been a change, or has that been moved to
There
another?
has.
Okay.
So, Councilman, what we've done in the last several years is we've done some upgrades to our POS and our computer system that we use for the community centers, for the community center. We've completed that task, and we're done, so we won't be doing any more improvements to that. We're just maintenance now.
Okay, thank you.
Council, any other questions?
one in regards to health benefits. That number has stayed the same all the way through. Is there any expected change with the additional employees from the Avenel Arts for health benefits?
That's a good question. That's an allocation. We allocate that. The most of the health benefits is sitting on the current fund. We allocated some down to the WCC. But that's a good point. Now we have an increase in employees. We should probably think about doing that. So we'll look into that.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
It would just be, that's just the allocation though. The total amount on the other portion, we did increase the health benefits, you'll see in here. So there's a $600,000
There's roughly a $750,000
increase in health benefits. So the only issue, so we budgeted for that. So, but it's whether or not there should be a greater allocation.
Yeah.
The bottom line will stay the same.
So the increase in health benefits has only been about 3% this year, so it's pretty reasonable.
Okay. Good job by the Insurance Commission.
Director Simulica, page 163, bottom of the page, 5101. Just purely out of curiosity.
That's a typo. That should be 35 carried over, yes.
Okay. I'm like, we have to camp.
It's a typo. It should be carried over.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Council?
No. Deb. Under the Barron Arts, 1410, pages 19 through 21 on other expenses and 13 on S&W.
Sorry, Mr. Mitch, what budget are we on?
Barron Arts Center, 1410. 19 through 21 on OE, 13 on S&W.
Director Simulica, page 20, 4515. What is that number for the 12,000 for the maintenance contracts over at the Barron Arts Center?
That's for copiers.
Copiers?
For the copiers, correct.
So do they do a lot of their printing from their copiers in-house, or do they send a lot of printing out?
They do a lot in-house, but and it's both. Depending on how glossy it is, some of those mailers go to a printer.
Because I noticed they spend a substantial amount on printing, so. Okay, thank you.
Just want to get back, Councilman Anderson, you raised a good point before. The 8 employees that we have right now that are going to be working on Avenel Arts, they're right now on the recreation budget, which is in the current fund. So that increase you're not going to see this year, but in time, when we do move them, you'll see that increase probably in the next couple of future years. So right now, the reason why we didn't move anything into here, into the WCC budget, because they're right now housed in the recreation budget on the current fund.
Okay. It's just the...
But it makes sense, though, in time, when we do move them over, that you'll see an increase in the benefits there. Yes.
All right.
Okay, but not for 19.
Okay. Thank you. I do have a question. Where was it? Professional services, a significant drop in the request.
So if you look down to outside services, that 15 moved down to there. So we just, one of those housekeeping things that we've changed out with that.
Okay. So that's why I had the question, because we've been making these changes into different departments and different categories, so that's really where I picked up on that. All right. Thank you.
Council, any other questions?
Go to the municipal clerk's office, OE pages 7 through 9, S&W page 3. Oh, I hear no questions. We'll go to
I think someone has to recuse themselves.
7 through 9 and 3.
Council, any questions?
We'll take Council's budget, I work with President Meehan on. That's 1020, pages 3 through 5, and page 2.
Can I go back on the election expense, Mr. Mitch?
Yes, sir.
I noticed that we appropriated 38,000. We spent 676, and then we're budgeting or requesting 40,000.
Correct. The real only expense in that line item is sample ballots. We're required to pay for the primary ballot only. With 60+ thousand registered voters, it will cost just under $50 a piece. That is only done in June of this year, so we haven't even received the bill yet. So when the bill does come in, it'll be reflected into reserve, which was this past year's budget, and you'll see the rest of that money will come right out. So you'll see the actual expense is real every year. It's just the timing of when our budget ends, right after the primary.
Gotcha.
Bless you. Bless you.
Bless you.
Again, back to council then, 3 and 5, and page 2, if there's any questions.
I have a question, I don't know if this makes sense, but on page 4, the auditor, we're allotting that money, but it's never been spent.
And that there is allocated in the event a defeated budget occurs, primarily through the fire district budgets. If that was to occur, it's your responsibility to set a new budget, and we would incur an expense with the assistance of the auditor. Unless there's anything else in there, Manny, I believe that's it, correct?
Okay, thank you.
We'd like to see that stated, zero.
Yeah.
Council, any other questions?
We will go to the Office of the Business Administrator, 1210, pages 10 through 13 on OE, and page 4 on S&W.
Council, any questions? I have one question on page 13, under municipal expenses, 5295. That went up.
Yes, that's the one I told you
That's the
that
one.
we put in for the survey, the appraisers, the preliminary assessments, some of the projects. So before the ordinances get done, we were able to start moving ahead. Like, I took some money for the museum work before, because we're starting to get that building and the tree down, and some of those kind of expenses just needed a place to be able to be there. So that's this way that it's controlled by the front office and doesn't get spent out.
Okay, thank you.
Council President?
Go ahead.
Page 13, 5165 rent. Is that for, what is that for?
That's
St. Cecilia?
St. Cecilia's, that's $450,000. And then there is the other one,
The Eleanor Street park.
Eleanor?
the parking lot.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Council, any other questions?
Our auditor expenses have not gone up in 5 years. How have we managed that?
What was the question?
Our auditor expenses have been $87,000 since 2014.
Oh, it's an allocation. That's not the full auditor's expense. I was like,
No, they've actually kept it pretty flat, right? In the last, it is an allocation. We allocate it to the current fund and the other utility funds, but they have kept their fees flat. They haven't increased. We've looked at the contracts every year. I think they've kept them the same. Now they've done other work for us as well.
I was just going to say this.
They come up and they do the pilot assessment, and they do a review of that, and they've helped Mr. Lorenzen in the analysis of the pilots every year, especially as the pilots have increased a lot. And analyze that, make sure it's beneficial and whatever. So the actual writing of the contract they've had to hand in as well. So they've done a lot of extra work as well. Also on the sewer side, they've done studies on the Carteret, on the COA.
Which is additional
work.
to this.
Additional fees. So they've had other fees and other work. In terms of their audit fees, they've been able to keep the audit fees pretty stacked, pretty even.
You have a fee, for instance, for the pilot review, that's on next Tuesday's agenda, for the agenda point, to do a resolution, which is not the audit. So they do the audit, and that stays the same, and then they do miscellaneous other, which are individually done by contract.
And tracked under each department.
Yes.
Thank you.
Allocated under.
Yes.
Will you be taking TV 35 or Mr. Haggerty?
Mr. Haggerty can do that.
So we'll go into TV 35, which is OE page 17 and 18, S&W page 12.
Council, is there any questions on this?
Moving over to the Office of the Mayor, 1010, pages 1 through 3, S&W page 1.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mitch, will we be doing the mailroom? Or, I think it's 1210 mailroom? I don't see that on our paper, page 15. I'll just send it along in an email.
What's the question?
It seemed like the salaries that were requested seemed high to me, since I think there's only about 3 people in that department, or...
Got it.
1210?
Yeah. There. Let me just get to page 15.
Yeah, page 15 on the bottom.
Yes. I'm going to go to the salary thing. You know what page that is? 110. Is that what we have?
We moved an employee into that budget, Phil Sullivan.
They can't say her name. A person that was in another location, got moved into, was really working there because she has a dual job.
Oh, okay.
She does, a person that works at the front desk at times and then works in the mailroom at
So
times,
she's in
but you
two
can't say her name. That person is in this budget now. So that was the difference. And then there were, frankly, the lowest paid employee in the township on an annual basis was in that department, and pursuant to the executive order, had the salary raised by getting a promotion, and now is still low. But I mean, that was the purpose of the executive order was to try to raise some of those really, really low salaries. And he was one of them, so that was an increase.
Any other questions?
We're moving over to the Law Department, 1510 and 1511, pages 32 through 34, and 14 and 15 on S&W.
Council, any questions?
On to insurances, 4010 and 4020, pages 116 and 117.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Jones.
Senator Bennett,
Yes.
can you just give us a little knowledge behind the first line item on page 118, anticipated deficit parking utility? It's 509,000.
That was last year's number.
Yeah, I know, but
There's nothing for this
there's
year.
nothing anticipated.
Oh, you want to know what it was last year? Well, I might need some help.
To help the parking utility make their debt payment,
Okay.
we took money from the current fund and sent it over to the parking utility to make the note payment.
Okay, I just didn't know what that was. I just
Yeah, no,
needed a little explanation.
The state
Thank
makes us
you.
use that term. It really is a misnomer. It's a very bad term.
Okay.
It's just, it's the current fund monies are sent over to the parking to assist it in making its debt payment. That's all
Okay.
it is. Transfer.
Okay, thank you.
We don't have any this year budget.
I see. Thank you.
Is there any other comments, Council?
Our unemployment insurance fund is dropping $100,000, but it's been pretty consistent. Is there something that we're anticipating for that?
It's better to use it in other areas. Since in other years, not in the last 2-3 years, but in prior years, we usually had a little bit extra budgeted for unemployment, and we didn't use it, so we built that up in the reserve. So since we've had it built up in reserve, we decided not to use as much in the budget this year, that if we have an increase or any charges that go over that 140, we'll be able to fund it via the reserve and drain that down a little bit and use that 100,000 somewhere else in the budget. So that's why we left it 100, dropped it to 140. But we have enough in reserve. Should that be 240 this year, we'll be fine.
And besides which, we also have instituted a policy that if someone is legitimately entitled to unemployment, they get unemployment. But if people are not legitimately entitled to it for one reason or another, we now contest them. We did a program that in the past, some of our seasonal year-round people, our seasonal school year people actually applied and got unemployment in the summer, and which we paid. That policy is no longer in effect. That they now have all been offered jobs for the summer, and my opinion is if you're going to get paid to not work, we'll give you a job and you'll get paid to work. So that's going to be the continual practice, which we also think will have an impact on the overtime.
Great.
Thank you.
Does anybody else from the council have a comment on anything? This concludes our meeting tonight. If there's any other questions that might come up, please email them to us and we'll get back to you. Administration will get back to you. Meeting adjourned.